Good morning, and thank you for joining us for the 2024 Mideastern Athletic Conference Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Elise Scripter, Director of Strategic Communications for the Mideastern Athletic Conference, and I will serve as moderator and co-host of today's question and answer session. Before we begin, I would like to go over today's procedures. The conference will begin with the MEAC notes, featuring conference highlights, upcoming events, and weekly accolades. Afterwards, we will ask each head coach questions about the previous matchups, the upcoming games, followed by questions from the media. To ask a question, simply click the raised hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. At this time, the MEAC notes will be brought to you by the Assistant Director of Strategic Communications, Abigail Weiss. Abigail, go ahead.
Thank you, Elise. This weekend marked the season debut of volleyball and men's and women's cross country. For cross country, the Norfolk State Spartans women finished first at the Maryland Eastern Shore Invitational with a 1-2-3-4 finish and 6 runners placed in the top 10. Sophomore Yvonne Sonzi won the individual title with a first place finish. The Spartan men also competed with a 1-2-3-4 finish at the same meet, with Rafael Couture winning the meet. Morgan State men's cross-country team placed first at the Baltimore Metro Invitational, led by Davion Gray, clocking a time of 16:59.96. Howard men's and women's cross-country teams placed second at the Mount 5K duels. For volleyball action, all 8 teams made their season debut. The Maryland Eastern Shore Hawks went undefeated on the weekend with a 2-0 record on the road at Mercyhurst. The defending MEAC champions Coppin State went 2-1 over the weekend at the Red Storm Invitational in Queens, New York, taking a set away from the host St. John's. The Norfolk State and Howard also went 2-1 on the weekend. Howard defeated George Mason and Georgetown, while Norfolk defeated Gardner Webb and Lamar at the Norfolk State tournament. That will be all. Back to you, Elise.
Thank you, Abigail, for bringing those weekly notes. We appreciate you sharing the news of the great news and events of our great league. Now joining me as co-host throughout the season is executive producer of the MEAC Digital Network, Mr. Lynn Thompson. Welcome, Lynn, and thank you for being here with us.
Thanks so much. Go ahead. Thanks so much, Elise. We're going to talk football. I know that's what you're going to say, right?
Yes,
Time to talk some football this morning. So let's do that. Welcome everybody for our third football conference of this exciting and brand new 2024 season. And we've got so much exciting information to share, and I know everybody's ready to dive in. So let's dive in. Our very first interview of the morning is with head football coach of the Howard University Bison, Coach Scott, Coach Larry Scott. Come on in this morning. Good morning to you. We've got a few questions teed up for you this morning. The first one, the Bison are coming up a tough season opening game against the Rutgers Scarlet Knights, 44-7, a loss on the road. Talk to us about how your team performed this past Thursday night on national TV, Coach. Good morning to you.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Yeah, it was a kind of a tough goal for us to go up there to Rutgers this weekend and open up. Yeah, there was still a lot that we learned from that game and a lot that we can build from and learn from. We were actually, going into the game where we could have easily gone in at only a 14-7 deficit at halftime. So I was proud of the way our team came out of the locker room and the way we played on defense and the way we moved the ball on offense early in that game. Definitely gave us some things we can definitely pull from and continue to build from as we continue to, roll through the season. But I was proud of the way our guys attacked it. I was kind of proud of the way they went and competed. The game kind of, I don't think it was very indicative of what the final score was with how the game kind of played out. But it was a physical ball game, one in which I think we learned a lot from, gained a lot from, and can pull from in order to keep growing and getting better. And we will. But it is what it is. We've moved on and started getting ready for Mercyhurst.
Okay, well, how did, in your experience, and how does starting off a season against an FBS team help prepare your team for the rest of the year ahead?
I think in a lot of ways, you want to play in big-time college environments when you play college football. And that gave our young men a chance to go and experience a Big Ten environment fueled by Thursday night and a home opener for a football team that has a lot of preseason hype and a lot of preseason accolades and things in front of it. We played probably against one of the better tailbacks we'll probably play all year, and one of the better tailbacks in the country. Led the Big Ten in rushing a year ago and those type of things. And we played against a top 20 FBS defense right out of the chute. So it was definitely a test for us in a lot of ways, but it also gave us a certain level of confidence to know that we can go and run the ball against a Big Ten defense for 140 yards or whatever you. We know that we can go in and play pretty sound defense at times. We late in the game we struggled to stop the run there a little bit. Played right into their hands when they wanted to lean on you and basically go on the 4-minute offense and limit your possessions on offense in the second half, and they did a good job of doing that to us. So, but I think for our guys, it's the environment. It's an opportunity to gain some confidence in what we do and how we play football, I think it builds us for the rest of the season as we continue to move forward.
All right. Well, moving forward for the rest of the season, you got Mercyhurst coming up. Let's talk about this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a good home opener for us. This a football team that's making a jump from Division II to Division I, so I'm sure they'll be excited about the opportunity to come in here and play their first quote unquote Division I football game here at Howard. So it's a group that's after watching them on tape, they do a lot of different things schematically that you better be pretty sound on, or can be an ugly situation too as well, as far as just trying to keep up with all of the things that they do. But it gives us another chance to go out and compete, another week to work on the things that we need to focus on as Howard. We talk about it right now. We're not going to talk about opponents. We're going to talk about the opponent being us right now. And all the things that we need to do to get better each and every week. Just so happened that we're going to walk out on Saturday and play against another team. But at the end of the day, it's us making sure we do the things that we need to continue to get better each and every week.
All right, Coach, thanks a lot. That concludes my questions. Elise, over to you for questions from the media.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Once you are introduced, please state your affiliation. Our first question of the morning comes from Mr. Nathaniel Henry Jr.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning. How you doing, brother?
Great. After looking over the film and having a chance to reflect on the Rutgers game, what did you learn about your team?
That we'll compete. We're still a team that's going to play all 4 quarters. We're going to compete, even though we got kind of towards the end there, got a little rundown, defensively, trying to stop that run and those type of things. But that we'll complete. We'll play hard. No environment's too big for us. Any of those things. Learn that we got a quarterback that we think we're going to be able to build the future around in all aspects of what we're doing. And then we got some young players that weren't, shocked by the stage. The stage wasn't too big for them, and they kind of showed up and did some of the things they had shown us all camp that they were capable of doing. And to get into a game like that and be able to show us that they're capable of doing those things in a game time, real speed environment was amazing too. So, like I said, there's a lot of positive things to pull from this game that we're definitely going to pull from and continue to build on.
Yes, sir. Next question. When you look at a game versus an FBS Big Ten opponent, how much of a factor does depth play?
What? Depth?
Depth.
Oh,
yes.
Absolutely. When you stand on the sidelines, and we ended up taking 75 or 78 players with us. And we're already 63 scholarships, and they're 85. And you look across there, and they probably got 120 guys dressed out. It was kind of an army versus a platoon, so to speak. So, but that's neither here nor there. At the end of the day, they only can put 11 out there, and it's 11 versus our 11. And they played a lot of guys in that game and ran a lot of fresh bodies and fresh legs in there to kind of build their roster in depth and those things too. So we saw a lot of guys and played against quite a bit of dudes, and we try to rotate our guys in there as well and play as many guys as we can too, because the object is to get those guys in the heat of it, get them in the battle, let some of these young players that we're going to rely on here to keep building and developing later on in the season to get in the game and feel that and play meaningful minutes and feel what that feels like as they continue to develop too as well. So it was a lot versus a little, but our guys went in there and they competed. They didn't shy away from it. They didn't back down from it, and it was a physical ball game. I think we matched a little bit of that at times where they had to feel Howard too as well.
Yes, sir. I think if you look at Scroggins' and it being his first start, he did a relatively good job. Talk about his play and what the future holds for him at that position.
Oh man, I think it's very bright. You know, he came back over. He was seeing the field very well. He knew what was happening, and you know what was going on. He got us in some really good checks when he had to check and things like that. So he was really seeing the defense and did a good job against a pretty complex scheme. You know, we're going basically against an NFL scheme with the simulated pressures and different mix and coverages and fronts and different things like that. So he saw a lot and did a really good job processing information. For the most part, took care of the football. We had the one pick six, which I didn't think a lot of was his fault. But other than that, running the ball when he had to and doing some different things, pulling it down and converting some third down using his legs, and all those type of things that basically definitely inspired and definitely gave all of us in this whole football program the confidence in knowing that he is the guy here going forth and can continue to develop the leaders.
Yes, sir. You answered the first part of my next question. However, the second part, what can we expect from Mercyhurst?
I think it's just a bunch that's going to come in, scrappy bunch that's going to come in, play hard, and be excited about the opportunity to come in and play a night game here in DC at Howard. And like I said, they're making their jump from Division II to Division I, so I wouldn't expect anything but kind of a bunch that's going to come in with a lot of energy and again give us their best shot, and we're going to have to match that energy and intensity and play the football that we're capable of playing.
Right. I have an FYI for you. This is the first time in 6 meetings between Howard and Rutgers that they did not either block a kick or have a return for a touchdown. So kudos to the special teams for Howard.
Yeah, we're looking and searching to pull all positives. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, I appreciate you, Coach, and good luck this weekend.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it, brother.
Yes, sir.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Charles Hallman from the Minnesota Spokesman.
Morning, Coach. Can you hear me?
There we go.
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
This is Charles Hallman from the Minnesota Spokesman Recorder. I'd like to ask you a couple of questions. One question about Zachary Yeager and how much he has helped bringing him in, and how much he has helped you. And I know he was competing for a job, for the starting job. How much he has helped, especially in your young youth movement, because he is a graduate transfer.
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously helped a lot. The maturity he brings to the room, into the program, you can't duplicate, right? You want to make sure when you do go out to the transfer portal and you bring in grad transfers and those type of things, that they bring a certain level of maturity and leadership into the program, right? And he's done a great job of doing that and settling in and getting to know the guys and learning the system and blending right in. So he's been a great fit for us and our program, and really sparked up the competition in that room, which helped spark up the competition at all positions during training camp and those type of things. So yeah, it's been great to have him here and a part of what we're doing.
Thank you very much, Coach. Good luck this week.
Thank you very much.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Scott, how we doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Chris. How you doing?
Pretty good. I know you said earlier that it's mostly Howard against Howard when you prepare for each week, but I did want to ask, how do you strike the balance of putting together a non-conference schedule that's competitive, but that won't wear your guys down in terms of getting ready for MEAC season?
No, Chris, that's important, and I think that's a really good question. And I think you do have to have the right balance and symmetry within the schedule. You want one that actually kind of does a lot of things right on multiple fronts. It challenges you guys. It also, truth be told, in all honesty, right, there's a certain number figure you like to hit with playing some of these games that can actually benefit and help the program continue to build, so that you can continue to build your infrastructure and those type of things that you need to do. And sometimes playing some of these games, come with being able to do that. So balancing that, and then they also just the balance and making sure that you keep your team upright and healthy and those type of things. And I knew this was going to be one of those physical challenges. Thank God it was out there early, and then even thank God that our strength and conditioning coach did a heck of a job with our guys because we came out of the ballgame relatively healthy. We weren't beat up or any of those type of things. A couple bumps and bruises here or there, but and then we went in and matched their physicality. I think one of the things you turn on the tape and see, there was times where we took and displaced their whole defensive front in some of our runs and different things like that. And so we went in and matched the physicality. We kind of played well in the trenches at times, which is really what I wanted to see as when you build the team, you build it around that. Your offensive defensive front. And there were some times where, obviously they got the better of us on their offensive side of the ball at times, but there are times where on our offensive side, we were able to set a new line of scrimmage and kind of, handle the front a little bit and do some things from that perspective. So I think, striking a balance in what you're doing from a scheduling standpoint is critical. But I also think, challenging your guys as well is important too. And you want to go in and play games that excite guys and why they come to Howard and play college football, to be in certain environments and to do those things. You want to make sure you kind of are doing that too, because this is, it's college football, and you want guys to be in those real big environments at times.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Thank you, sir.
Our next questions for Coach Scott come from Luke Williams.
Good morning. Good morning, Coach Scott. Luke Williams of the Black College Sports Page. Coach, in the past, guys from HBCUs that have played big, and I apologize if I'm asking something you've already addressed, because this is about Kenny Gallup Jr. Mm-hmm. But guys that have played at HBCUs that have played up, so to speak, against FBS teams, guys like Darius Leonard, South Carolina State, he had like 19 tackles against Clemson. Marquise Bell at FAMU, who's now with the Dallas Cowboys, I think he had 19 against Miami one year. What jumped out at the stats was Kenny Gallup having 14 tackles. I wanted to know, what does that tell you about him in terms of his preparation and possibly his ability to play, not only against upper level on this level, but perhaps on the next level when he finishes his career?
Well, I think the one thing speaks louder than anything else. I can say whatever I want to say, but the stats don't lie, right? The film don't lie, and the stats don't lie. He's a legitimate, football player. He's very deserving of all the accolades that he's received thus far. He's the same guy every day. He had a hell of a camp. He's a guy that loves football. He's a guy that sometimes even during training camp, he had to help save from himself. Because he wants to be in there. He wants to play every rep. He wants to be a part of everything that you're doing, special teams and defense. He's a consummate pro in his approach. He's already a graduate. He already has his degree in hand. So he's kind of a marquee example of what you want it to look like as we continue to build this program of the talent level we want to continue to try to get and develop here. And a guy that's a all-around student athlete, did it well off the field and in the classroom, took care of his business there, has his college education, and all of his dreams, goals, and aspirations are all in front of him. But he's also a guy that doesn't want and wait for anything to be handed to him. He goes out every day and he earns it. Same guy, works hard in practice. Every drill is intense mentally. Every walkthrough is intense. All of those type of things. The guy that loves football and it comes through in his play each and every week. So. All I can say is, unfortunately, that he's a Howard Bison and that he's playing for us.
And lastly, Coach, for me, when did you follow the Ian Wheeler's travails with the Chicago Bears? I know I'm sure he's out. Did you stay in touch with him? What's his prognosis moving forward?
Yeah, during training camp, his teammates, the guys that are here, obviously followed and posted and talked to him, and we showed a lot of some of those episodes in our training camp night meetings and those type of things. And that was an awesome deal for our program in the big scope of things, and an awesome story for Ian. The story behind Ian was a walk-on at Howard University, walked on here and then earned a scholarship. So. We all followed it. We all kept in touch and all those type of things. And wish Ian nothing but, the better. And I know he's the type of kid that'll come back bigger, better, and stronger. So all those aspirations that he has is all still in front of him too as well. So, but it was a good story and good for us to follow the whole training camp.
Thanks, Coach.
And our next questions for Coach Scott come from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Scott, good morning to you. How are you?
I'm good, Ty. How are you?
I'm good, Coach. You mentioned the move up into competition or division for Mercyhurst. Looking at their tape versus Wheeling last week, what did you learn about the Lakers?
They're feisty bunch. They play hard now. They run around. They play hard. they give you a couple, a couple different variations in fronts and looks and things like that and coverages. So you better be very much, in tune and kind of have a really good, solid plan of how you're going to attack these guys because it's just enough to where if you're not really prepared, you can have guys falling in on plays and unblock guys and different things like that that can get pretty junky for you and those things. So you better have a great week of preparation. You better know what you're doing and have really good solid schemes versus some of all the things that they do. Better be able to get a hat on a hat. And you're going to have to play hard because these guys play hard. They run the ball. They do all of those things really, really well. And you can tell that their style of play is coming through from how they're coached. And we better be ready to match that intensity as far as, our style of play and how hard we're playing.
And I know a player's a player, coach, but does Adam Urena being a left-handed quarterback pose any different kind of problems for you?
No, not at all. Really, we get to the quarterback, whether he's right-handed or left-handed, affect the quarterback through however ways that you do that with pressure or, your base 4-down rush. I think he does like to create things with his legs and stuff like that. So you're going to have to contain him and make sure you keep him in the pocket and those type of things. I think he's only about 6 foot or something like that. So you got to be able to, close some windows and things like that, make it difficult for him to see and really, put some pressure on him, but contain him.
Thank you, coach, and good luck this weekend.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions. Thank you, Coach Scott, for joining us.
Thank you, guys. Have a good week.
You as well. Howard hosts Mercyhurst for its home opener on Saturday, September 7th at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C., with kickoff set for 7 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next coach.
Thank you so much, Elise. Our next interview this morning is with the head coach of the North Carolina Central University Eagles, Trey Oliver. As you know, the Eagles are the preseason MEAC top pick as a team to win it all. They went head-to-head this weekend in the Orange Blossom Classic against Alabama State, the preseason top pick in the SWAC conference. Coach Oliver, welcome this morning to you. Your team played in the Orange Blossom Classic yesterday afternoon and emerged with a great win. Talk to us about your team's performance in this season opener.
Yeah, excuse me. Good morning, Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
Promise my voice this morning, but
we saw you working
game.
hard. We saw you working hard yesterday in the rain too. Okay,
it was rough, but hard-fought game. Played a good Alabama State team. I thought our guys played hard. I really did, and I didn't think we played as well as I wanted to fundamentally. Didn't tackle well at all, and I thought we could have put the game away a lot earlier than we did, but we let them hang around and not being a dog fight late, and I got to do a better job first and foremost. We made some bad calls as a coaching staff and put our guys in some really bad situations, but we came out with the win. So happy for our guys. Fought through adversity.
Okay. Both sides of the ball played well against Alabama State, and you got to see your offense on the field with Walker Harris calling the plays. Talk to us about this guy, Walker, stepping into the role.
Yes, Walker's a great player, and we needed to start fast. And I believe he started off 6 for 6 early on in the first quarter. So he did a great job managing the offense. We got the run game going. We wanted to establish the tempo, and we wanted to set the tone early. So we went down and scored in the first drive. Defense got to stop, and I thought we played well, really in all 3 phases early on. We got up 21-0, and then let them back in it. But I thought overall, offensively, for it to be the first game with a new trigger man, I thought we played well.
Well, you're home this week hosting Elon. You upset them a year ago on the road. Talk about this big in-state matchup.
Yes, we played Elon. They were top 25 ranked team last year when we beat them at their place. So I know they're gonna come in here, this year trying to get some revenge. But another really good team. And we always talk about our non-conference teams. We want to play a tough non-conference schedule. But they played Wake Forest, I believe it was last week, and played them really, really close. So excuse me, Duke. But we will have our hands full again this week, man. The Eagles will be tested again, but great coaching staff over there, Coach Triciani, and we got a couple guys that were on our staff here before. So it'll be a great matchup, but it's good to be back home.
Great. Thanks so much, Coach Oliver. Get ready for some questions from the media. Elise, it's on you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. Once you're introduced, please state your affiliation. Our first question for Coach Oliver comes from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Oliver, how you doing this morning?
I'm hanging in there, Chris.
I know you said that you put your guys in some tough situations defensively, but you were obviously prepared for two quarterbacks. But just talk about how taxing that is for a defense to know that they went from one extreme and a guy in O'Brien that's more of a pocket passer to a guy like Body who's obviously going to run, 75% of the time.
We were prepared to see two quarterbacks, but not at the same time. They started off with both quarterbacks in the game at the same time. So it did a lot of motion and shifting. So we had to kind of get settled down with that right there and, get a feel for what exactly we're trying to do. I thought Coach Cord and our defensive staff, made some good adjustments, but they're two different quarterbacks. Obviously, Body's a lot more elusive than I gave him credit for when I saw him on film prior to. That kid is slippery, man. And we had him in the backfield several times, and he, broke tackles and got away. So, hats off to Body, man. He's an unbelievable athlete.
Talk about Jamari's job. Obviously, he had to share a little bit of the limelight with Mookie last year, but it seems like he is the guy in your backfield. Just talk about his efforts, 3 touchdowns, 100+ yards rushing. Just how much more dangerous does he make your offense?
Well, we knew it we had all along with Jamari. He was an outstanding running back, every down guy. And, last year he was Mookie's backup, but we knew we had guys like him and Walker Harris that were waiting, behind the scenes, get the opportunity. But unbelievable athlete, unbelievable running back. Can make you miss his pace. He's a power back to get downhill on you and does a great job of catching the ball out of the backfield. But great young man, great leader, and I was happy to see our offensive line, our young offensive line, create some lanes for him to run in.
Last question, just with that 2-hour weather delay, just do you think that helped or hurt your team, coming back out on the field in the second half?
Neither. Both teams had to deal with the same adversity. So I think, our sports medicine staff and strength and conditioning staff did a great job with keeping those guys loose without burning them out, and also with nutrition. So a lot of guys were still able, to eat and hydrate back in the locker room, and they were going through the same thing, so it was no big deal. It didn't have any effect on the game.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Oliver come from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver, Ty Miller with Power News Radio Network and Black College Football Weekly. I hear your voice, but otherwise, how you doing this morning?
Well, late night, flight got in late with the delays, but dealing with the rain and a cold locker room. But we hanging in there, Tom. Well, how are you?
I'm good, Coach. And I know it's on to the next game, so let's talk about the Phoenix. First of all, what made them so tough for your team last year, although you pulled off the upset down there?
Well, we won by 2 scores, Ty. It won't, we won by 2 scores. The game was kind of, we had it under control early, but they're a good football team and they run the football. They're physical, they're big up front. Their running backs are very good. We were fortunate to get a lot of pressure on them. We were winning first down last year, got them in obvious throwing situations, and our D-line really, really got after it. I think we had about 8 sacks last year. So the big thing for us is to stop the run and try to make them one-dimensional, and then from there let our D-line, go to work.
Yeah, and watching them on the ACC network against Duke the other night, they seem like a little bit better team this year, particularly up front on defense, where they held Duke to just 59 yards rushing. What are your concerns about their defense?
They got some guys up front. Their D-line is probably, to me, an FBS defensive line. Their defensive coordinator, Coach Edwards, was my DB coach here a while back. So I know who he is and how he gets down, and he does a really good job of getting those guys prepared. But defensively, they play lights out. And, we had to play much better this week against them offensively before, because like you said, they held an ACC opponent to minimum yards rushing. So we've got to figure out a way to run the football because I think for you to have success offensively, that's where it starts, up front, running the ball.
Last question, Coach, because I want you to conserve your voice. Coaches often speak of making that jump between week 1 and week 2. What is the most important thing for your team in week 2 in terms of making that jump?
That's what they say until you get to week 3. They say the biggest jump is between week 2 and week 3. Then it's week 3 to week 4. But no, Ty, honestly, man, we've got to figure out this tackling thing. We've defensively, you got guys, hustling, getting to the ball. We got to have the ball, but we're not wrapping up. We're not getting guys to, to the ground. So this week we're going to do some live tackling drills and just hope we don't get guys hurt. But we've got to tackle better. I thought schematically we had guys in place. I thought the effort was there, but you just got to be able to finish the play and get them on the ground.
All right, thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thanks, Ty.
Our next questions for you, Coach Oliver, come from Lute Williams.
Good morning, Coach. Lute Williams of the Black College Sports Page. How you feel?
I'm hanging in there, Luke. How are you, man?
Doing fine, man. I saw, did you lose your voice when you also lost your headphones and they were holding you back? What was the situation in that situation that it seemed like you were very upset with close to the end of the game?
Oh, when a kid spit in our kid's face, the last series of the game, the ref sitting right there, and it's obvious what happened, and they don't do anything about it. They were on me. One of my guys used profanity. Coach, we're gonna put him on the game, throw a flag. How about somebody using profanity? Like, that was the first time I heard that. We don't want our guys using language like that, but come on, man, the kid spit in my kid's face. And the refs don't do anything about it, don't throw a flag. And then, it had a lot of stuff happen throughout the game. They muff a kickoff in the middle on the hash. The ball hits the returner, goes out of bounds on the 4-yard line. They try to say we kicked the ball out of bounds. They're gonna make me have to replay it. It was a lot of stuff, but it started early on with the officials and about as expected, man. About as expected.
And other question is, as you said, your quarterback started off well and he's tended to struggle. And I know he's a guy that you've used all through his career. He's played well. What did he not do well on Saturday or Sunday that you think you're going to have to get more out of him this week?
Well, I haven't gotten through all of the film offensively. I got through defensive kicking game, but offensively, I thought he did a good job managing the offense. It was, 1 or 2 breakdowns here or there. We gave him a sack in the red zone. We thought we were going to go in and score. The running back missed the block, and we got sacked. But we didn't have any turnovers, so that's a plus. And I thought he was making the right reads throughout the game. But a couple of air throws, and at the same time, you got to look at the weather. We're playing it rains, the whole game, so I'm sure that has something to do with it.
Good luck against Elon, Coach.
Thank you.
That is all of our questions for Coach Oliver at this time. Thank you, Coach, for joining us.
Thank you.
As a reminder, North Carolina Central hosts Elon in its home opener on Saturday, September 7th at O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in Durham, North Carolina, with kickoff set for 6 p.m., airing on ESPN+. Lynn, over to you for our next coach.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview this morning is with the head coach of the Delaware State University Hornets, Lee Hall. Good morning to you, Coach Hall. How are you today?
Hey, good morning, Len. Thanks for having me.
Good, Coach. You picked up your first win of the season on the road at Sacred Heart, a real tough ball game, too. You win it in the end. You hold on to win it. Talk to us about the Hornets' performance on the road.
Yeah, we came out with a 2-point victory there against a very tough opponent, Sacred Heart. 2 years ago they were a playoff team, so we knew it was going to be a hard-fought battle. We came out a little slow, a little sluggish. I thought that was going to be the case a little bit. Playing in Hawaii, coming back, with all the travel stuff that we had to deal with. Probably on Thursday, Friday, we finally got our legs and bodies back. So, but I really like where we're at, as a team, because those guys fought for 60 minutes, and that's kind of difference from us. And last year, these guys got no quit in them. They play hard. They're physical, and they give a lot of effort and energy, and you can see that on the sideline. defensively, we knew we had to try to stop the run. They came out a little bit different and was throwing the ball early on, and then settled into what they do the best was, run the football. Thought the defense did a good job. I know they ran for 237 yards, but it was one of those things where it was a bend but don't break, type of defense. When they needed to get a stop, they got to stop. But with a team like that, what they do is run the football. I thought we did a really good job there. Offensively, we struggled at times. Times we looked good. I think the biggest thing for us is that we got to be a little bit more consistent on both sides of the ball.
Okay, Coach. No doubt there should be a lot of celebration. There was a lot of celebration and smiles in your locker room after last week's victory. But as you now head into a bye week, how do you build on all of that after 3 opponents, Hawaii, travel, and Sacred Heart? And how do you stay focused after this win?
Yeah, I think getting the victory always helps you stay focused. We haven't had a victory this early in a long time. So I think the kids are excited. They understand, what's in front of them, what they can accomplish. The biggest thing for us is to get our bodies back, so that's going to be the biggest thing that we have to do. So, our strength and condition coach does a great job. Practice will skirt that a little bit to help them get their bodies back. But it's more mental, for me, with these guys, getting back to the basics, the fundamentals, technique, also execution a little bit better on offense and defense, as far as, being gap sound, running the correct routes, quarterback play, just still growing as a quarterback and understanding reading coverages, all those things. So I think this week is more mental than it is physical. And then, next week we'll get back to being a little bit more physical, but once we get our bodies back.
Final question for me. Will this be a full week of preparation? And what do you do on Friday and Saturday?
For the coaches, it's a full week. We're going to game plan and do everything like we usually do. Players they got off today and tomorrow. We'll practice on Wednesday and Thursday, do a little bit on Friday, and then we'll start our week back, just like a normal Sunday, Monday, Tuesday routine next week.
Okay. All right, Coach, thanks so much. That's it for me. Elise, over to you for the media.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. Once you're introduced, please state your affiliation. Our first question for Coach Hall comes from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Hall, how you doing today?
Good. How you doing, Chris?
Pretty good. Just talk to me about the overall guts and determination of this team. Like Lynn Thompson said, you guys had to fight the travel. You had to fight Hawaii, and you come back against a team that was a playoff team 2 years ago and held them pretty much throughout the entire ball game. Just what does this win do? Do you feel like that Hawaii trip sort of strengthened the bonds of this team and that they were able to come out as strong as they did against Sacred Heart last week?
Yeah, I really do. I think the Hawaii trip with all the travel, snafus and stuff that we had, us spending so much time in the hotel and in the airport together really brought us closer together as a team. And you can see that. I think the camaraderie is high right now on our football team. They believe in each other. They really got to know each other through this Hawaii trip, with everything that we went through, because we spent so much time together. And I think that bonding really helped us, in the Hawaii game. I thought we played really well against Hawaii. And then, this past week here against Sacred Heart, you could tell that we're coming closer as a program.
Just talk about Jaden Sutton right now. Is he your lead guy going forward, and what does he bring to the table as a running back?
Yeah, Jaden's a transfer, grad transfer from Lafayette. He was with us last year, but got injured. Only played in like 4 games, the last 4 games. So he brings a lot of experience. Has played a lot of football for us. He's a big physical back. He's 6'6", and 220 pounds. He runs really, really well with his pad level down. He does have some speed. As you saw, he broke away on that last touchdown to put us ahead, for good. So, I'm excited to have him, part of our team. because he does bring that experience that we need in the backfield.
And just talk about Marquis' maturation from the quarterback spot. It just seems like some of the things that, might have been bugaboos for him last year. It seems like, do you feel like the game has slowed down for him a little bit?
Yeah, I do. I do think it slowed down a little bit for him, being the second year in the offense, and the experience that he did get last year has helped him develop. I still think there's a lot of growth. There's a lot of room for growth for him. He does a lot with his legs. Things break down. That's what I'm just trying to get him to understand is, have a time, a clock in his head. A couple sacks that we took was, on him. Little coverage sacks, but if things are not there to take off and run, his eyes got to get a little bit better and stuff. So I think more he plays, the better he's going to get. And that's the biggest thing right now. The more reps he gets, the better he's going to get. And I like the way he is attacking it, far as, preparing for each game and stuff. And he's only going to get better.
And lastly, with this bye week coming up, would you prefer to have it this early in the season, or would you have rather had it a little later on?
Well, we got 2 byes.
Oh, okay.
So we have 2 byes. It actually worked out perfectly for us, because with the Hawaii trip, you always want to bye after that. But we were supposed to play them this week, but they had a week 0, so we could have played them week 0 or played them this coming week. So we decided to play in week 0 so we could have that bye. So we do get another bye just before we play South Carolina and get into the South Carolina State and get into the MEAC.
Okay, Coach. Thanks for your time. Enjoy your week off.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Hull come from Luke Williams.
Hey, Coach. Excuse me, Luke Williams of the Black College Sports Page. Chris read my notes and asked about Marquis and Jaden, so I'm going to go in another direction. Coach, last time you were in the conference at Morgan State, you won a championship. How do you think the MEAC has changed? I know it's not as many teams as maybe, I think you were one of 4 champions that year, but how has the MEAC changed when you from the time that you left and as you see it now?
Yeah, good question. I think it's tougher than it was back then, just because of the coaching. Every coach, every school has won a championship at some level. So you got, nothing but championship coaches. So it makes you stay on your toes, and you have to prepare every single week, because there's a lot of parity in the league right now. So at any given Saturday, anybody can win the game. So I think that is where it's changed a lot. I think the league has done a great job. The commissioners has done a great job of, and the schools have done a great job of hiring great coaches. And that's put us, and that's what you see now, the MEAC schools going against, FBS opponents and hanging with them, beating them. It shows that they're supposed to be on the field, with those guys. It's not like they're getting beat 50-0 and stuff like sometimes in the past. Now, it's one of those things where, FBS opponents got to prepare for us. It's perfect, example, Howard, it's like Coach said, Coach Scott said it, I watched the game and they physically, was able to push those guys around and stuff. So it just goes to show that comes from great coaching, great recruiting. I think the players are better in the league now because of the recruiting that's going on. And I know a little bit of that too helps from the transfer portal too. So.
Yeah, and you're one of those coaches, Coach, but I also want to ask you, talk about your leaving the MEAC as a head coach at Morgan State, little bit about your journey, where you went and how you ended up back in the MEAC, and how was that the last thing you expected, or talk a little bit about your journey to get back.
Yeah. So, I left Morgan State, I got a call from the Colts, Indianapolis Colts, and they had a receiver job open. So, it was one of those opportunities that you get once in a lifetime. So everybody that coaches want to, reach the pinnacle of whatever their profession is, and NFL is that. So, I had my little stint in the NFL. Once that was over, I found out a lot about myself, that I was a college coach, that more than a pro coach. And I wanted to get back to being a head coach. So, you know, I went to Wagner for a year, was offense coordinator there, and then the opportunity to came with Coach Scott. Coach Scott called me up and asked me would I be interested in being the offense coordinator at Howard. So my goal was to be a head coach, and if I was going to be a head coach again, I wanted to get back into the MEAC, and I wanted to be a MEAC head coach. So that's why I took the Howard job. And 3 years later, I'm the head coach of Delaware State.
Appreciate you, Coach. Thanks a lot. Good luck on your week off.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That is all of our questions for you, Coach Hall, at this time. We thank you for joining us on the call, and good luck to you this week.
Thank you.
Or enjoy your bye week. I apologize.
Yeah.
Delaware State has a bye this week, heading into their next game on September 14th when they host Wagner in Dover, Delaware. Lynn, back over to you for our next coach.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview this morning is with the head coach of the Norfolk State University Spartans, Dawson Odom. Good morning to you, Coach Odom. A tough loss this past weekend at East Carolina. Let's talk right now about that particular football game. Let's start off by talking about that one.
We played against a really good football team. They were unique on defense. They run 3 down defensive linemen, but everybody else is either safety or linebackers or pointers, and they all about the same size, very athletic football team. It was tough sledding for us offensively, but couldn't sustain any drives. We moved the football a little bit on them, but really couldn't get anything sustained. Defensively, forced 6 turnovers and, gave ourselves extra possessions on offense. Really competed really well. I really thought we left that football game feeling really good about our football team because we had some chances. We didn't capitalize on some plays, but they scored 28 points in the first half and 14 in the second half. And, we played rock and sock with them, back and forth kind of football. Got off the field on 3rd down, but wasn't able to sustain anything offensively. They did a really, really good job of just slowing our offense down. But we're looking forward to the opportunity this week, and hopefully we're not too banged up, get an injury report today, and see how things go for this week.
Okay, Coach, despite that result, there were, and you just alluded to a lot of positives to take away from the game, including the defense, where you recorded 3 interceptions against quarterback Jake Garcia. Let's talk about that defensive presence throughout the game, and maybe some positives other than that to take over into this weekend's home opener at Dick Price Stadium against a very tough Virginia State team that won their home opener on the road over Benedict.
Well, you're right. It is some positive we can take away. The biggest thing is that we've been pretty good on run defense. That's a big improvement from a year ago. We found a way to get some turnovers through our first 2 ball games. I think that number is 7-1. So we've been taking care of the football, and we've been taking the football away. We didn't get our running game going. That was a disappointing thing because we thought it would be some creases, but they're very talented. But we're looking forward to our home opener this week and get a chance to really see what kind of football team we really have. We feel like we don't play inspired football the first 2 games and really play against 2 very good football teams. And we get a chance to play against our 3rd football team that is pretty good. And we're looking forward to this matchup. It's in state, should be a great crowd this weekend, and it's our home opener, so we're excited about that.
Good, Coach. Okay, thanks so much. Hold on now. Elise is going to take the questions and set them up from you from the rest of the media reps. Elise?
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you're introduced. Once you're introduced, please state your affiliation. Our first question for Coach Odoms comes from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Odoms, how you doing this morning?
Doing great. How you doing?
Pretty good. First 2 games on the road are always tough for any football team, regardless of level. But just talk about the relief that you have that your guys are going to be able to, be at home and practice and just, be able to get out of their dorm beds and just come over to the stadium on Saturday morning instead of, getting on a flight somewhere.
Well, it's outstanding. I think getting a chance to play in front of our great fan base and great crowd. This is going to be a tremendous atmosphere, and I think this is why you come to Norfolk State. This is a natural rivalry dating back many years, and we understand how important it is to play well, and we understand how important it is to defend your home turf. And we're just excited about playing at home because I think it's a unique atmosphere here. I think our fans really going to come out. It's a 4-day work week, so everybody won't be as tired. So it look like Saturday is looking to be beautiful weather for us. So we're anticipating a really, really great environment here.
There's a lot of football left to be played, but just what do you think that your team, in terms of either scheme or, just overall character, could do better, coming, into this, into the rest of the season? Obviously, like I said, a lot of football left, but just what are some things that you feel like that could be improved upon as you head into the rest of the schedule?
Well, I think when you look at the 3 phases, you always go find the improvement. It used to be you make the biggest improvement from game 1 to game 2. Then you look at the schedule and how the schedule sets up. The way most of the schedules are now, we play a challenging non-conference schedule. I think the teams will start selling in to really who they are after about 4 games, because somewhere in there you may play a FBS or a mid-major type program. Some schools may have a Division II school in there mixed in with a couple of LCS through 4 games. Then you're going to start looking at injuries and where you are as it relates to injuries, and hope you can dodge the injury bug to really find out how good of a football team you have. And we feel like we got a pretty good football team. Hopefully, this week we come out and prepare the way we capable of preparing and doing the necessary things that we believe we've been doing this whole time, and getting our football team ready to go and creating that mindset of playing at home and what that environment is like and defending your home turf. So we're excited about that. But I think there's always some things you can work on, and you find 1 or 2 things each week that you try to get better at from week 1 to week 2, from week 2 to week 3. It's always improvement to be made, and you're not only looking at your opponent, but you're also looking at what can you do better as a program.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Odoms come from Luke Williams.
Hi, Coach. Luke Williams of the Black College Sports Page. How much is it, when people in the MEAC or the SWAC play up against FBS teams, it's usually a separation between the two in terms of, they talk about scholarships and whatnot. How important is it for your team to kind of separate itself? I know you lost last year to Virginia State, to the squad you're playing this week. How much, or how necessary is, how much is there extra focus to really kind of separate the Norfolk State from Virginia State in terms of the levels that they play on?
Well, the main focus is trying to win a football game. I think no matter what level you play, I think that's always the goal, is to go out and try to win a football game. Anytime you play in state, whether it's up, whether it's down, it's always a atmosphere and a rivalry that your fan base is going to always have eyes on and ears to. So we understand that this goes all the way back to the CIAA days of both teams being competitive and playing against each other. You hear them refer to it as big state, little state. But at the end of the day, it's going to be football played here on the campus of Norfolk State, and we going against one of our in-state rivals, and we're looking at it just that way. We got to get ready and prepare. They're a really good football team, and we're looking forward to the challenge. And we really think we got a good football team, so something's going to give on Saturday.
Coach, being that you all are only separated by whatever the miles are between Petersburg and Norfolk, do you find you end up recruiting against Virginia State and Coach Frazier?
Well, I think we're all looking for the top players in the state of Virginia. And we actually have some players that were here that have transferred out and now playing for Virginia State. So, and you just try to find the best players in the area. They're closer to that Richmond area, so it's good football played up there in Petersburg. So you're always trying to find the best players in Virginia, and we always see those guys on the recruiting path, and just trying to make sure that we're getting the right players here at Norfolk State. So anybody that's in this state that's recruiting, because it's a good background, especially in the 757 in the Richmond area, Northern Virginia, they play really good football. So you're always running into other schools from this state that on the recruiting trail.
Yeah, people always talk about the 757 is talent rich. How would you say in your time at Norfolk State, how have you been able to recruit that area? Are you satisfied? Have you gotten the kind of players that you want, or has that been difficult?
No, we've gotten players and we've developed players. The biggest thing in Virginia that a lot of the southern states have that we don't have in the state of Virginia is spring football. Like the high schools don't really have spring football, so they're missing 4 years of development that I think is critical when you're talking about being a mature and developed athlete as it relates to college football and making the transition from high school to college. And that's one of the things that a lot of guys struggle with. The elite guys, you don't have to worry about it, but those guys that take some time to develop, where if they had spring football, you may be looking at a one year and a half transition versus not having spring ball. Well, a lot of those guys that are going to fall LCS are going to fall to Division II. They may be 2-year guys away from developing. So just understanding the dynamics of what goes on within your state and how it relates to developing football players. We're very pleased at the guys that we've got from the 757.
And lastly, I'm sure you, I would assume, if you didn't watch it live, you're going to watch the film of Virginia State and Benedict. What did you see in Virginia State different from what they were last year that concerns you coming in?
Well, there's a lot of similarities. I think they got to return the quarterback who's played really well for them since he's been there. They got a couple wideouts that can stretch the field, running game, big offensive line, which is the same they had a year ago. Defensively, they're doing the same things. I really think when you have the continuity with your staff, you're going to continue to be who you are, and you're just going to try to replace the guys that lead with new guys that kind of fit that same dynamic makeup that allowed you to have some success. And we're looking for, a good football game and an exciting atmosphere and electric. It's going to be an electric environment. I don't know if you ever attended one of these games, but it's
absolutely
it's definitely the talk around here, and it's the talk around town that, we understand the magnitude of it, and everybody else does too. And it should be a fun environment and a great day.
And when you say the magnitude, does that include just the whole idea of MEAC teams shouldn't be losing to CIAA teams?
Yeah, I mean that's the perception that we all have. We feel like in the MEAC we shouldn't be losing to nobody. So we got a brand in the conference that we feel like we can go out and represent our conference very well, whether it's against in conference or out of conference foes. And as you can see that you spoke to a couple of guys earlier today, and you go get a chance to speak to another coach that won out of conference. So with Coach Oliver and Coach Hoyle and Coach Damon, man, all them guys won out of conference games, and that's a big thing. And just being able to represent our conference against everybody else, yeah, we know we don't get the same kind of love that everybody else get. But when we get a chance to play, we try to put our best foot forward and represent this conference to the best way. And take my hat off to those guys because, yeah, we represent it and we take some pride that no matter who we play outside of the conference, we want to represent well and we want to beat everybody. So and that's just how we are in this conference as a collective group of individuals.
Best of luck Saturday, Coach. Thanks.
Always a pleasure. Thank you.
That concludes all of our media questions. Thank you, Coach Odoms, for joining us, and good luck this week against Virginia State.
Well, and appreciate that, Coach Pugh. You're right. I missed it last week. Behold the green and gold.
Norfolk State returns home to William Dick Price Stadium when they host Virginia State on Saturday, September 7th, with a kickoff time set for 4 p.m. The game will air on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next coach.
Thanks so much, Elise. Our next interview this morning is with head coach Chennis Berry of the South Carolina State University Bulldogs. Good morning to you, Coach Berry.
Good morning. How you doing today?
Man, I'm doing good. We watched the football game against Florida A&M this weekend. A very, very hard-fought, exciting football game, Coach. Went down to the end. The Bulldogs led it. You went up 2 scores. The Rattlers fought back, and the home field advantage won out in the end. But let's talk about your team's performance in your very first game as the big dog in Orangeburg.
I'll tell you what, first and foremost, shout out to Coach Cozy and the Florida A&M Rattlers, man. They found a way to win a football game. And that's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. I was very, very proud of the football team. You know, they were resilient through it all. We went down into a hostile territory. If anybody had the opportunity to play down in Bragg, you know, it gets a little loud and gets a little crunk. And, you know, it was a great moment for our young men. And we got a chance to find out what kind of football team we really, really have. I mean, I really wouldn't have had it any other way to go down to see what kind of team we have versus the defending national champs. And, you know, I thought our guys, you know, for 50 minutes played really, really well. You know, the game comes down to 60 minutes. And a lot of the things that I talk about every day and all through training camp came back against us to haunt us, you know, about finishing plays, finishing the drill, and all those things that matter. But I was super proud of our football team. We were able to go out there and do some good things all three phases, offensively, defensively, and special teams. But we have to find a way to seize the moment. We talked about all week the opportunity of now, understanding the urgency of now. There's no opportunity wasted. Well, we had an opportunity and we let one slip away, man. But again, kudos out to Florida A&M. They did a good job finding a way to win the football game. But our guys this week, all we're going to be talking about is finishing.
Okay, Coach, in addition to the run game, special teams proved to be key last week. Can you talk about any impact players that you saw who met the challenge in last week's game?
Well, I was very, very proud of our young men. You know, we always talk about running the football and stopping the run. And for the most part, I thought we did a good job of stopping them from running the football. When we forced them to be able to pass football, and they were able to have some plays that broke down. And, you know, we always talk about plastering. All right, regardless of what happens, we got to contain the quarterback. Well, he was able to, you know, get out of there a couple of times when we felt like we had him corralled. Was able to make plays, and they ended up scoring on those drives. And, you know, offensively, we talk about running the football. And I thought, you know, we did a good job of running the ball. So, you know, we did some good things, all right? We wanted to make sure that we had no turnovers. We didn't turn over the ball. We forced 2 takeaways from them. So there's a lot of good things we did. I thought DeAndre Duhart, running back, that transferred to us from Benedict College, he showed that he belongs. He's a Division I running back, and he ran with behind his pass. He ran physically. Also, KZ Adams, our other running back that transferred from Georgia State, he was electric. That's what we expect out of those young men. In our offensive line, obviously, when you're able to run the football, you got to be good up front. And I thought our offensive line did a really, really good job. They did a good job of protection as well. So, you know, at the end of the day, our defensive line, I thought they hunted as well, but we got to corral the quarterback. I don't want to talk about the sacks we missed, all right, but we got to be able to get him on the ground. And, you know, at the end of the day, we didn't do that. They found a way to win a football game, and we have to find a way to close games and win ball games when they get close in those moments.
Okay. All right, Coach, you're on the road this weekend, headed to Charleston for a matchup against the Citadel, who eked one out in the end over Charleston Southern. Your preview of this matchup.
Listen, Coach Drake, tell you what, he used to work here. You know, he's been all around. And, you know, anytime you get an opportunity to play an in-state rival, that's always great. You know, they're right up the road in Charleston. And we do a lot of recruiting in that area as well. So it's a lot of South Carolina State alumni that's from the Charleston area that will be there. And it'll be a great matchup for us. They were able to find a way to come back and beat Charleston Southern. And again, it goes back to those life lessons and those moments. I'm telling our football team, we got to be able to finish. And you know, they'll find a way to fight to the end. He was able to get some guys. I think he's got his personnel up to what he looks like, what he wants it to look like on his defense. And he's got a transfer quarterback in there that's doing a good job of moving the ball. They're taking shots down the field vertically, and they're doing some good things. So we have to have our football team prepared, and I think our young men will be ready to go. Again, I told our guys, man, we don't lose, we learn. Okay, yes, we on the scoreboard, yes, we didn't go 1-0, which is always our mission, but we have to learn from it and grow from it. And I think they have the right attitudes and the right mindsets as we prepare to get ready for a really, really good Citadel football team.
Okay, Coach, that's it for me. Elise has got the media reps prepared to ask you some questions. Elise?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to our media, please use the raise hand feature to ask your questions. When you are called, please indicate which affiliation you are with. Our first question comes from Luke Williams.
Hey, Coach. Good
How you
morning.
doing, Luke?
I'm doing fine.
Awesome.
Get my video up so you can see me too. Coach, I love your lines. No opportunity to waste it. We don't lose, we learn. When you look at the film from FAM, and I know you evaluate that quickly before you move on to Citadel, but when you were up and you had the lead, what was the breakdown? Where did the breakdown occur that allowed them to come back?
Well, when we're up 18-7, 11 in the fourth quarter,
Mhm.
I thought the energy was there. I thought the guys were locked in and ready to go. But it's those small moments, ebb and flow in the game of football. We had to punt it to them, all right, which we always talk about maintaining possession. All right, and we punted to them and they had a quick score. So when they had a quick score, they kind of within a couple big plays of pass interference, they had a couple penalties against us on that drive. So within 4 or 5 plays, they're in the box within about 2 minutes. So now, and then they went for 2. Now we're up 18-15. We still have an opportunity to win the game. So as we're moving the ball, we had a 3rd and 5 situation, and we went a bread and butter play that we run all the time. And actually a great ball by our quarterback, and our receiver kind of took his eyes off the ball and had a big drop on 3rd down. That's money down. And we had to punt it back to them, and that's when they took that next drive down. They had the momentum at that point. And again, a couple plays broke down. We had bad eyes, and the one time we had poor communication in terms of one of our coverage checks, and they were able to take it down the field. But, I thought they did a good job in their moment. They found a way to fight through when they were down by 11 in the fourth quarter. But we just, as this football team, we got to find a way to finish. And there's so many small plays within that game, that you watch and you be like, well, it's 1 or 2, or we always say as coaches, a couple plays in the ball games, it's the difference in the ball game, but we never know which couple plays they are. Well, it was a couple plays that really could have changed the outcome of the football game, where we could be sitting here right now on the other side, being 1-0 instead of 0-1.
And Coach, talk about Eric Phoenix. I know he's a guy you're very familiar with.
Mhm.
I thought he looked well. He looked sharp.
Mhm.
How do you evaluate his play, and what's going to be important for him against Citadel?
I tell you what, Eric Phoenix did a good job of playing a clean football game. Okay, obviously the stats don't show that, because obviously he had a couple balls that were not there, but it really wasn't because of him. When you go back and watch the film, it was, the comradeship between he and the receiver. So we've been talking for the last couple of days. We got to get that chemistry right between he and the receivers. And I thought Eric did a good job of managing the offense. He did a good job of showing why he's a dual threat quarterback. He did a good job of making checks. That one that we thought was a touchdown, that first touchdown that he threw, that, again, I watched the film and I still feel like that was a touchdown. But that's a big swing right there. And, at the end of the day, they didn't call it as a touchdown, but he did a great job of checking. He saw they were in cover 0. He made his check. He made his throw. He did a great job. I was proud of Eric. Again, we got to get just the comradeship between he and the wide receivers right. And I think, again, like I tell our guys, listen, man, it's one game. It doesn't change the mission that we have. Everything that we want is still in front of us. But again, we don't lose, we learn. How are we learning from each situation, so now we don't put ourselves in that situation again?
Good luck Saturday against the Citadel, Coach.
Thank you. God bless you.
Our next questions for Coach Barry come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Barry, how we doing this morning?
Chris, how you doing today, brother?
Pretty good. I wanted to ask you about, your guys that came with you from Benedict, because a lot of people had concerns about those young men moving up from Division II to Division I. But at the end of the day, do you feel like it's just football and you were confident in the ability of these guys moving up to the next level?
Say it one more time for the people in the back. They need to hear. It's football, man. Like I told them guys this morning, man. I said, listen, guy, you belong, man. Our leading rusher came from D2. Our leading tackler for this past game, Diego Addison, came from Benedict. And our quarterback played well. Caden High, wide receiver, played well. Our left guard, Big Baby, Roger Smith, he played well. Our defensive end, number 1, Jaden Broughton, he played well. It's football, man. The last time I checked, man, cover 2 is cover 2. Quarters is quarters. 2 read is 2 read. Inside zone is inside zone. Power is power. And at the end of the day, you got to go execute it, man. So I was proud of our guys. I told them this morning, I said, listen, man, are you okay now, man? You belong here, man. You're a Division I football player. That's why you're here. Trust me, because if you wasn't a player, you wouldn't have came with me. Just know that. So, the guys understand they belong, and most of them did a really, really good job this past week.
And you said that obviously it's not that you lose, it's the lessons within, but just talk about the moment of being able to say that you guys were, obviously close only counts to horseshoes and hand grenades, but you were able to stick with the defending HBCU national champions for 55 minutes. Just what do you want your team to take from that heading into the Citadel and the rest of the season?
Man, I wish you could have seen their mindsets when I first laid eyes on them. Those guys are in great space, man. They understand we let one slip away. And, like I said, I'm going to keep giving kudos out to Florida A&M. They found a way to win a football game, but we have to find a way to those kind of moments to get it done. But they know what we have. They know what we have. We have a really, really good football team, and we'll continue to get better. We'll learn, we'll grow. They see. Again, a lot of times when you get players that already know the mistake that they made before they get to you, then you know you got a good football team. They just have to be able to seize the moment. Citadel's going to be ready to play. They're playing off emotion right now. They just came and had a really big win, man. That was a big win for them right there in that area. So they're going to be playing with confidence. They're going to be believing. It's our job to go in and just find a way to go 1-0, man. That's all we want to be able to do. Have a really, really good week of practice. A lot of positivity. I told our coaches, man, just uplift our players all week, man. They were a couple players away from winning the football game. You like to be able to get these lessons with a W. But we'll get these lessons right now with a loss. But we'll find a way to get over the hump and find a way to taste that sweet taste of victory.
Thanks for your time as always, Coach. Best of luck this week.
God bless you, man. Thank you. Take care.
That is all the questions that we have from our media at this time. Thank you, Coach Berry, for joining us, and good luck to you this week.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me. Go Dawg.
Absolutely. South Carolina State will face the Citadel this Saturday, September 7th at Johnson Haygood Stadium in Charleston, South Carolina, with a kickoff set for 12 noon, broadcasting on ESPN+. Lynn, back over to you for our next coach.
Thank you so much, Elise. Our last and final interview of this morning is with head coach Damon Wilson of the Morgan State Bears. Coach, we talked about year 3 being a big year for you, and you started off big. You went down to Hampton University and came home with a win over the Pirates. Big 2-point win, Coach, down at Hampton University. Talk to us about this huge victory and your team's performance.
Hey, good morning, Lynn. Yes, it was definitely a big win for us, a good win. First game of the season, first time this 2024 team came together to play a college football game. And I think the guys played well at times. Hampton is definitely a feisty team. They have a 2-quarterback system that gave us a little problems defensively. Offensively, we were able to run the ball a little bit, which was good. But we still have a long way to go to get to our ultimate goal.
I'll tell you, let's talk about the running game, because racking up 240 plus yards. What was some of the keys to the run game that proved successful and takes a lot of pressure off of a young quarterback?
Our guys up front, we still have, I think 3 sophomores, a junior, and 1 senior offensive lineman, and those guys really battled. They fought throughout the game, and they was able to move some people around a little bit to allow our running backs to find some seams, and they took advantage of them. Quarterback, I think Taj did a good job using his legs in our run game. Like I said, we must improve in the passing game, but we knew going into it what the goal was, and I think we were able to accomplish some of the things that we set out to do in week 1.
Well, now you're on the road this week, but not too far away from home, taking on a very close rival, Towson, the Tigers, in a crosstown battle. Let's talk about this matchup. You know them well. You see them all the time. Let's talk about the pending matchup.
It's going to be a tough game. Towson's coming off a loss to Cincinnati, where they were able to move the ball offensively against Cincinnati and score some points. So, we're going to have our work cut out for us. We're going to have to play balance in all 3 phases for sure. It's going to be exciting time for Baltimore, 2 of your FCS programs competing. And we're excited about the opportunity. Those guys got us my first 2 years here, and Morgan State had not beaten Towson in some years now. So we're looking to come out on the other side of that deal this weekend.
Well, a lot of excitement in the city of Baltimore. We're looking forward to it. Hang on, Coach. Elise has the media questions lined up for you.
Thank you, Lynn. As a reminder to the media, if you have a question, please use the raise hand feature and remain muted until you are introduced. Once you are introduced, please state your affiliation. Our first question comes from Donald Ware.
Good morning, Coach. This is Donald Ware with Boxer Row. You doing all right this morning?
I'm doing well, Don. How about yourself, buddy?
Doing pretty good. Can you share your overall thoughts on two-part question? How Taj Smith played, but then also in that last drive, the third down completion that he had, and then the scramble that he had on third down to pretty much seal the game.
I think Taj did pretty well. There's some things that he didn't do well with regards to carrying out his fakes and that sort of thing. We had a couple open receivers early in the game that I don't think he hit, but we watched film yesterday as a ball club, and he saw some of those mistakes. That pass later in the game that where we needed that big play, we needed a first down. He was able to execute, throw a good ball to Marquez Phillips, who made a play for us. So, that was good to see. The moment is never too big for Taj, which is good. He took some sacks that he shouldn't have taken, and we want to get improve in that area. But all in all, I think he played a pretty good game as a young college football player.
On that last touchdown drive that you had, it if I remember correctly, seemed like there was a play. I can't remember if there was a pass completed, but something kind of big happened. But it wasn't there in the first half. Can you kind of speak to how maybe you and your coaching staff kind of set up things? In other words, you say, okay, well, we may not run it here but in a critical moment, we're going to run this play because we know it's going to spring us what we need to, first down or touchdown or whatever it may be.
And indeed, and I think our offensive coordinator, Coach Apollo Wright, did a good job with that. Just as far as game planning and making sure offensively we gave them certain looks early on that we were able to capitalize on later in the game, and that's a part of coordinating. You show a college student athlete some things multiple times, and then that last time you give them something different. You count on those guys to possibly take that false step or take a step one direction, so we're able to go to other direction just because of tendencies. So we had to break some tendencies that we had set early in the game, and I think we did a good job of that.
Elijah Burris is one of the better running backs actually in the country. You kind of, for the most part, sort of bottled him up. Can you sort of speak to that and then your overall assessment of the defense?
Yeah, I think defensively we did a good job pretty much stopping the run. The plays that they were able to execute, it was either a penalty on a drive that extended that drive or someone didn't execute their assignment. And that's something that we defensively, we have not, we've been in good shape in the past with that. So that's something we have to improve on, eliminating those big plays and the penalties to allow them to extend the drive. That's something I was disappointed in. I think we had 9 total penalties for the course of the game, and we want to be under 4 and under in that situation. But the good thing, we were able to take the ball away 2 times. So we +2 in the turnover deal, and we didn't have any pre-snap offensive penalties and no turnovers offensively. So those are 2 areas that are important to us as well.
And then last thought, was Eric Hunter hurt? Didn't see him in the game. What was happening there?
Yeah, Eric Hunter is still recovering from an injury. Hopefully he'll be up this week, but we're looking at this thing week by week.
All right. Appreciate it, Coach. Thanks.
Thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Chris Stevens, HBCU Sports.
Coach Wilson, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing well, Chris. How about yourself?
Pretty good. You said that Hampton runs a 2-quarterback system. Did you guys know that they were going to switch out that early? Because it seemed like Mays played the majority of snaps the rest of the game. And just how did that change the game plan defensively for you guys?
We were able to get a little heads up that they may play 2 guys, doing our research going into the ball game and how they felt about both guys coming out of camp. So we knew that, but both guys are pretty similar. Not a lot of difference between the 2. Both of those guys could throw the ball downfield, and those guys could hurt you with their legs. So, we were prepared. The good thing, it didn't change a lot of the game plan for us just because of their similarities.
Close games were definitely a part of your MO in 2023. Just how exciting is it for you as a head coach to see these guys finish this one, a close game in a hostile environment?
It's really important, you know. I mean, in order to build a successful program, you're going to go through certain phases in that building process, and in order to come out on the other side of these games, you know, we must do little things right at the end. We had the ball with 4:30 left in the fourth quarter. We were able to execute our 4-minute offense. That's major. You know, when we won the time of possession battle, we had the ball 36 minutes to their 23 minutes. That's major. That's winning football. So, you know, those are things that we talk about, especially with a young quarterback. We try to eliminate the opportunities that the offenses may have on our defenses. So, you know, that was great. We had over 23 first downs, which is big, you know, with a young offensive line, showing that we're able to move the ball, you know, and keep the ball in our possession, which is a good, good winning football. That's good winning football.
And this will be my last question, actually a follow-up to that. You know, you ran 55 times, passed only 8. Was that something that was just a part of the game plan going in, or was just that was how the game flowed?
It's a part of the game plan. You know, we didn't have a number, how many passes. We want to be a balanced football team. However, we want to take advantage of what the team is giving us. And if we're getting 5 yards apart on the ground, that's something we want to take advantage of. Because if you run it 2 times, that's a first down. That's a recipe for success. So, you know, we want to take the pressure off of Taj, being his first game this year, and you know, take shots when they were there. And you know, we'll throw the ball some more. We have some receivers that I think you know, that can stretch the field and do some things with the football in their hands that we feel pretty good about. So, you know, at the end of the day, we were able to run the ball successfully, and that's something we stuck to throughout the game.
All right, Coach, thanks for your time. Best of luck this week.
Indeed, thank you.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Wilson, how you doing? Ty Miller with Black College Football Weekly and Power News Radio Network. What's going on?
Doing good, Ty. How about yourself, brother?
I'm good, Coach. Can you talk to us more about the Battle of Baltimore this year with Towson and what makes this year's Towson team seemingly on paper and on tape against it in the game against Cincinnati? What makes them much better?
They're a good team. I mean, the coach has had an opportunity to kind of get his guys in. They're a senior-led team. I want to say on both sides of the ball, they're 7 or 8 seniors on both sides of the ball in their starting lineup. They have a transfer quarterback that can throw the ball, spread the ball out a little bit. And they have some receivers that poses problems for your defense. Defensively, they got out there pretty good last year. Their defensive front is aggressive. You know, those guys get off the ball. And a linebacker core that can run. So once again, I mean, I think Coach has his guys in there that brought into the system, and he's a championship caliber coach, and those guys are playing for him right now. So we must match the intensity. Mm-hmm.
You mentioned the quarterback coach, Carlos Davis. He is from Baltimore, so Baltimore knows Carlos Davis. How much do you know about him, and can you talk about some of his attributes?
I know Carlos Davis myself really well. You know, he's a guy that we recruited even when I was at Bowie, and even when he was in the transfer portal, we had some conversations with him. And he's a guy that wants to throw the ball. You know, he can't hurt you with his legs, but he has a very live arm. He understands defensive coverages. Once again, he's going to pose a challenge for our DBs, and I know those guys are excited about it. And I know he's going to be excited to play against us. So, you know, like I said, it's going to be a very, very competitive ball game.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
You got it.
Our next questions for Coach Wilson come from Luke Williams.
Hey, Coach. Hey, Coach Wilson. How are you today, man?
I'm doing good, Luke. How about yourself?
Doing fine. Congratulations on another opening win. You know, last year you knocked off Richmond, shocked the world. You went up to Akron and almost knocked them off. Probably should have knocked them off. I think you'd agree with that. Mm-hmm. And then you played Towson, and I think it was a 20-10 game. What did you learn from last year in terms of that start that you had last year? What do you learn that you may have to make an adjustment this time around facing Towson on your second game?
Well, last year what we did, once we lost that close game to Akron, we let one game beat us twice. And that's something we talked about as a coaching staff and talked about as a ball club. And that did not fare well when we go into a game against a good team like Towson, still not overcoming the loss that you just had to Akron. The good thing this year, we're not coming out of that situation. And I think the guys understood. They felt pretty bad about their performance last year after Towson's game. I don't think we represented Morgan State football well that day at all. So we have a lot of guys that understand that. And this is a different team. You know, we're not the same offense, not the same defense, not the same special teams, but we have a reference point now that we can pull from. And hopefully we've learned from those mistakes that we've made in the past.
Yeah, I heard you tell Ty that Eric is day to day or week to week.
Mhm.
How do you compensate for missing a guy that's like the center of your defense?
I mean, he traveled with us. He prepared to play. He's put his headphones on. Basically, he was another coach on on the field for us, and it's hard to replace a guy like that. He makes the calls for us. He's a very physical football player. He's the leader of the defense, but the guys behind him understand next man up mentality. We knew going into the season it was going to be nip and tuck with Eric early on, and the guys prepared. And I think the guys Ahmad and Toro, those guys stepped up and made plays in light of Eric not being there. So we're going to continue to rehab him to get him ready. But the next guy has to be ready to play.
And you mentioned losing a game twice, coming off the loss from Akron. Is this something you've talked to your players about, or just something you sense that this game maybe means a lot more, knowing that situation coming from last year?
Oh, no, we haven't had a conversation about that. I very seldom reference something that happened last year because, once again, it's a different team. Something I learned early in my coaching career. You treat each team, each game, each week as its own. But we have a reference point. We don't eliminate the things that we experience, but I don't spend a lot of time talking about it. So, no, we're looking at this deal as being 1-0, going 1-0 for the week. We understand the challenge that's ahead of us. We're excited about the opportunity. I know our fans will be out. Our fans showed up at Hampton. I mean, I'm not sure how many of you guys were there, but it was a lot of orange and blue in the stands, and that felt really good to look up to see that support. And I look forward to the same thing happening this weekend at Towson.
Go Bears. Good luck on Saturday, Coach.
Thank you.
That is all the questions from the media we have for Coach Wilson at this time. Coach, thank you for joining us, and good luck this week.
Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Morgan State will face crosstown rival Towson this Saturday, September 7th at Johnny Unitas Stadium in Towson, Maryland, with kickoff set for 6 p.m., broadcasting on Flow Sports. This concludes the weekly MEAC Football Coaches video conference. Before the end of the conference, we would like to thank all that assisted and participated in today's video conference. The MEAC would also like to thank its corporate partners for their continued support of the conference and its Elite 8 member institutions. As a reminder, the next video conference is next Monday, September 9th at 10 a.m. For more information on MEAC football and other sponsored sports, please visit meacsports.com and follow the MEAC on social media at MEAC Sports on Facebook, X, Instagram, TikTok, and Threads. Thank you for tuning in to this week's MEAC Football Coaches video conference, and have a great week.